Barry Eichengreen, Hall of Mirrors, The Great Depression, The Great Recession, and the Uses, and Misuses, of History. Delve into the compelling narrative of the book Hall of Mirrors by Barry Eichengreen, where he takes you on a journey through two financial crises, the Great Depression and the Great Recession. This summary explicates the striking similarities between the two economic downturns, such as real estate bubbles, the roles played by central banks, and the often misplaced confidence in mastering the economic cycle. Eichengreen also addresses the fears of hyperinflation after the Great Recession and the noteworthy developments during this period, including the survival of the euro and EU's monetary agreement.
Lessons not learned. The book dives into the similarities between the Great Depression and the Great Recession, and how policymakers' response to the former led to the latter. Real estate bubbles and unfounded economic growth preceded both crises, and lessons from the past were not taken into account, leading to a less effective response to the Great Recession. Governments' fear of hyperinflation led to austerity measures, which resulted in a less robust recovery. The author details how the decision to adopt the euro was the biggest failure in learning from past mistakes. Overall, the book emphasizes the importance of taking lessons from history and not making the same mistakes twice. Fed's role in the 1920s property boom. The Federal Reserve cut rates in the 1920s to support the Bank of England, leading to a property bubble in Florida and a stock bubble in the U.S. Despite not taking any action to stop the bubble, the Fed raised interest rates in 1928 as stocks moved into bubble territory. While central bankers debated direct pressure to deflate the bubble, the ramshackle regulatory system of that time made it difficult. The book highlights the role of politics in hyperinflation in Germany and France, leading to investors moving their money to Wall Street and further inflating the U.S. equities bubble. The Fed's role in the property boom of the 1920s is explored, showcasing the limits of monetary policy in controlling irrational exuberance. The Housing Debacle. The housing bubble that led to the Great Recession was caused by the rapid production of subprime loans, which were packaged and resold as investments. Countrywide Financial, known as the McDonald's of mortgage banking, led the charge in automating and standardizing loans, making it easy for people with poor credit to obtain mortgages. Mortgage brokers didn't care if the borrowers defaulted, as they had already been paid their commissions. Meanwhile, home values skyrocketed, accounting for 6% of U.S. GDP in 2005. Countries like Spain and Ireland experienced similar booms fueled by easy access to credit. Despite warning signs, regulators failed to keep pace with the fast-paced private sector, leading to a crisis that affected not just the U.S., but the entire world. The Dangers of Deflation. In the early days of the housing bubble, U.S. central banking and politics faced the bugaboo of deflation. To avoid a potential Japanese-style economic misery, central bankers prescribed interest rate cuts. However, this resulted in low interest rates, which led to real estate speculation. Despite no one from the Fed acknowledging the cause and effect, homebuyers and investors were more willing to take risks, believing nothing would go wrong. This naivety became a common belief during both the 1920s and the early 2000s, but it proved to be wrong both times. Missing the warnings. Proven wrong by market crashes, leaders repeated proclamations of stability prior to financial meltdowns. In 1929, an economist claimed a permanently high plateau, but the stock market crashed 2 weeks later. The Great Recession of 2008 was also preceded by reassurances from leaders, including Greenspan and Bernanke. Despite knowing that Freddie and Fannie's failure was not an option, they missed the warning signs of an impending meltdown. Misguided government actions during economic crises. The government's actions during the Great Depression and Great Recession have often worsened the situation. In 1930, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff was signed into law to protect American farmers, but it wrongly took the blame for worsening conditions. President Obama's healthcare reform was also criticized to hurt the economy. While mainstream business leaders and economists failed to anticipate the housing market crash, hedge fund managers and contrarians bought credit default swaps and cashed in when Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns failed. The government's response to the crisis entailed much more than just fiscal and monetary tools. The George W. Bush administration faced a dilemma when Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac held $5 trillion in mortgage-backed securities, and their downfall could not be countenanced. Republicans opposed their rescue packages. The Bold New Deal reforms. This book explores the similarities between economic crises under two Republican presidencies, which resulted in the replacement by reform-minded Democrats. The author delves into Franklin D. Roosevelt's comprehensive stimulus plan, including ambitious programs such as the Civilian Conservation Corps, the Federal Emergency Relief Administration, and the Securities and Exchange Commission. The book compares these reforms to those of the Obama administration, which were considered a pale imitation. The author's analysis offers insights into the impact of sweeping regulatory changes during times of crisis and economic reform.
In conclusion, Hall of Mirrors provides an insightful analysis of the similarities and differences between the Great Depression and the Great Recession. By examining the significant warning signs and policy missteps, this book highlights the importance of learning from history to alleviate the full catastrophe that results from bubbles and their bursts. Eichengreen emphasizes the critical role of central banks, regulatory responses, and real estate bubbles in these crises, while shedding light on the repercussions of not acting on the lessons of the past. Although the aftermath of the Great Recession was less severe, the book urges the recognition of the underlying patterns, both to inform and better equip us for future financial turbulence.